how's it going, YouTube? Today's video is gonna be about how you can get Perma Fortify on your bow build and how you can also get Perma Berserk on a bow build. And you can see here it does utilize Petrified Blood, and I'm also using a medium life flask. So I'm going to explain how the mechanics work behind this interaction that allows you to have Perma Fortify. You can see up there next to Herald of Purity and Blood Rage that Fortify is on permanently. And that's just something you don't see with bow builds, right? And it does utilize the notable Hardened Scars. Now here in the background, I'm actually running what is called the best money making strategy in Expedition League. Currently, I mean, the best money making strategy always changes, but it's pretty much Nemesis 3 on Glennock Carns with Beyond Watchstones, and it's pretty good. And then you also utilize the ambush, and then you have unique monsters drop corrupted, and that allows you to get anywhere between like 7 to 8 divines in a map. So that's around like 3/4 of an exaltant divines. So it was pretty fun. The map is actually super fast to clear because you have so many headhunter buffs due to how juiced it is. You can see I have 70 headhunter buffs. And it's really easy, and you don't really need any insane gear to do this. Like compared to doing Tropical Island Delirium, this is like 1,000 times easier. But I just wanted to showcase this method. I could make a video explaining how to do it, but I think some other people have already done it before. But the general gist of it is it's Nemesis currency. You take the Beyond Atlas passives and then the Ambush Strongbox Atlas passives, and you use like Ambush Watchstone and then pretty much any other Watchstone that gives you a lot of unique and rare mobs. So you can see here there's an Exalt drop, and it actually dropped 2 Exalts in this run. So in this video, we're going to go over my build and gear overview for the Berserker Tornado Shot. I am still playing the character. It is extremely fun, and I think it has a lot of potential, and I will try to fully gear it out. And I did make some upgrades today, and then we're going to go into how do you get Perma Berserk and Perma Fortify, because those are just some of the best mechanics in the game. So my character is not that squishy anymore. I have 5.4k life, and let's see, and I have like half of my life reserved. So let's go over the build real fast, or the gear I have currently. So I stopped using the shaped bow. And the reason I stopped using the shaped bow is because I need to get socketed gems are supported by level 10 faster projectiles. And that's because we need around, I think someone told me that you need around 120% projectile speed in order for the Tornado Shot to shotgun with the secondary projectiles with Sniper's Mark or something. Not 100% sure how it works, but generally, the more projectile speed, the better clear you will have also. So I have 148% projectile speed, and that's purely because I have the Tornado Shot inside of the bow of the corrupted faster projectiles. This bow is pretty expensive. It did cost me around, I think, 20 exalts or so, but I do think it is very worth it. So let's see, is there another bow here? And this is supported by Onslaught, and ideally you want faster projectiles and flat fizz, but that didn't exist at the time. And eventually I will try to corrupt more shaped doom fletches, and I do have this one here, and I corrupted this one, or double corrupted it, and I got 5% attack speed and 6 to 80 lightning damage. Now this bow is probably pretty good, and it's actually more damage than this one, but the projectile speed is invaluable. So this really shows you that Eternity Shroud is a pretty flexible build. You don't need to go all shaped. Even with like 6 shaper items, it is by far the most damage you can get out of any chest in the game. So here I'm actually asking someone to do a lab enchant run to get Tornado Shot fires as secondary projectiles. So tomorrow I'll have a new Asenath chant, and it should be pretty good. I haven't divined this one yet. I am missing 3% attack speed, and I should probably quality my gear, but it's okay. I have acrobatics. I don't really have that much ES. So this Asenath chant is pretty much like Spell Slinger for bow builds. So if anything you put in here, it will cast with a 0.3 second cooldown. So right now my amulet is also different. So I did upgrade a lot of different things today. So this amulet here, I pretty much got an amulet base with T1 life, T1 multi, and T1 flat fizz, and then I did multi-mod craft with increased effective non-damaging ailments and then more projectile speed and projectile damage. Now, there's an argument here that we don't need this much projectile speed, and we can pretty much use increased damage while leeching. Increased damage while leeching is probably one of the best mods in the game for us, as it's incredibly highly efficient, and then we're always leeching because of Petrified Blood. The quiver is the same. I kind of want to get a better quiver, but honestly, this quiver is going to be hard to beat. So you can pretty much consider using this quiver is pretty much losing out on 38% multi, and the chance to get a frenzy charge on crit, because that's what usually people have, and then maybe some attack speed. So these prefixes are pretty good on the quiver. It's what, T1 Fizz, T1 Life, and then T2 Wed, but the suffixes are just a disaster, and we can't really do anything to fix it. So I also rolled this ring, which is different. So this is another ring. So Vermilion Ring is really good for the build. It allows us to get more life, which is also damage from Bloodthirst. So I got this ring, and it has Flat Fizz, Life, and then also this mod from Elder, which is plus 12 life gain for each enemy hit by your attacks. Now this might not seem like much, but this mod is pretty good because of the fact that it's kind of like a vitality. So this allows us to get what, 40 life gain on hit. So that's almost like having one claw. So that actually makes us really, really tanky because our life pool is so low. So 40 life gain on hit is actually absolutely massive for the build. So this roll here is 10. I should probably divine this, this ring a little bit more, because the 10 life gain on hit is really low. And this also gets scaled by the Fertile Catalyst. So this ring here is the same. I don't think this ring is replaceable. I want this to be on a Vermilion ring if possible, but this ring is just too good at the moment with accuracy, T1 Wed, and everything, and life. Maybe it's not T1 Wed. It's T2 Wed. And annealed. I could probably get a better ring. It might cost a lot, but I'll try. It's actually very limiting to try to get shaper rings. Because, so like, one of the best ways you could also try to craft a ring is by using reforged suffix after you have perfect prefixes, and then you can guarantee crit multi, and then you can do an ashling 50-50. So I do have some more currency, so I will probably be doing some crafting for my own gear, because I kind of want to max out this character. I actually really like Tornado Shot, and it's extremely fun to play. So this is the pair of boots. I probably need to get a lab service for these and try to get pen on it, because 10% increased movement speed is nice, but penetration for bosses matters a lot, and this build is short on penetration as we only have it from Trinity and what is this, Scorch. And 10% move speed, the build moves fast enough, and you do get hit quite often, so it's not even up that often in maps, so it's kind of a useless enchant. So basically, this pair of boots is a large cost of the build, and it's just Tailwind effect, elusive, and then movement speed cannot be chilled, and then a resist, and then crafted on life. And importantly, it has elevated onslaught, which allows us to get onslaught on kill. So that's pretty good. And then this belt here gives us the rare mod gain. So this is like the belt that everyone needs for juicing, and I did put Fertile Catalyst on it. And should I divine this belt a little bit more? It looks pretty good. So before I had Tomb Fist, and Tomb Fist I got rid of with the elemental weakness because it was actually overriding my curse, my sniper's mark. So I decided to just use a non-corrupted Tomb Fist. Now the reason why Tomb Fist is so good is because it gives us intimidate enemies for 4 seconds on hit with attacks. And it also gives us 6% increased life, and it allows us to put in like 2 jewel sockets, giving us a lot of multi that we need really badly for the build. So if you look at our build right now, our build only has 381% multi. Now for a crit build, that's pretty low in general, 381%, and the only way to get more multi is to get jewels with multi, but the problem with that is that we also need resist on a lot of our jewels. So basically, we're kind of in a sticky situation where resists are just at such a premium, and it's kind of hard to get resist because our gear doesn't have resist on it because we're using so many unique pieces that have no actual res. So it's kind of hard to do. Flask situation, we're using this medium life flask of heat, and I'll go over in a little bit why it's OP. And then Bottle Faith, Taste of Hate, Diamond Flask of Acceleration, and then Chemist Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline. So the tree overall, I don't think I really changed at the moment. I did get another one of these streamlined clusters. I do think I have enough projectile speed. Maybe I don't need to run 2 of these clusters, but we'll see how it goes. They're still very, very strong. And I did take these nodes right here so that I can get some mana leech, because I was taking this thing right here and it was just inefficient before. So basically the tree is pretty, I think it's efficient. And then we have Hardened Scars here, which is Fortify. We're recovering life from a flask. So this brings us up to the next point, which is how we can get Perma Fortify and Perma Berserk on the bow guy. So in order to get Perma Fortify, so you can see here we have Fortify, and pretty much as long as our Blood Rage is going on, our Fortify will stay on, even with the Life Flask not having any, not being used anymore. It's because of the way that queuing works in this game. So here you can see the Fortify is still on. I have not touched the flask. And now, before the Fortify falls off, we can keep it up again. So it literally lines up perfectly. And the reason why is because you get life charges back with this minor soul of Rice Lata, which gives you life flash charges, gain 3 charges every second if you haven't used a life flash recently. And then we use a medium life flask because it only requires 8 of 28 charges on use, which is actually the lowest amount. And it gives you 3 charges to use, and it also lasts 9.7 seconds. So it lasts a long time because we rolled it with saturated. There might be a better way of doing this, but that's the way I've found so far. So now you might be asking, how is the life flask not reaching full? Like, because usually the life flask gets removed when we reach full life. So the trick here is with Petrified Blood. So what Petrified Blood does is it makes it so that when you're above low life, your skills cost life. And then once you get below low life, which is low life is 50%. And once you get below low life, you cannot recover your life above 50% unless you use a flask. So like right now, if I'm to attack, I'm at low life and I can't go leech any mobs and get above this threshold. The only way to go above low life of 50% is to use a life flask. But the life flask, however, is unable to regenerate because the degen from Blood Rage with the physical damage equals out the life flask. Regen. So because of that, the life flask is never able to reach the half-life point and bring us above half-life and then to the point where our leech would stop because our HP globe is full. So it's a little nice interaction. So this is pretty much the Blood Rage degen canceling out the life regen from the medium life flask, and that's why we use a medium life flask, because it's very low regen. And because of that, with the Hardened Scars notable, which gives you Fortify while recovering life from a life flask, this means that we can keep up Fortify for the whole duration of a map and even on boss fights. Like right now, as long as you have Blood Rage going on, and you should have Blood Rage on the entire map without even needing to press it a lot, because Blood Rage refreshes whenever you kill a mob, that means that we're just going to be Perma Fortified, and Fortified means that we just get 20% more effective HP for everything, which is absolutely huge, because a lot of times, like, people complain about the bow builds, and the problem with bow builds compared to other builds, not only is it doesn't have like the best movement speed and the movement skill in the world, it also doesn't have Fortify, which just means the character is 20% less tanky. And since you're already playing like a raider a lot of times with like 3.5 or 4k HP, having no Fortify is also really, really bad in the grand scheme of making your character tanky. So pretty much not really much to it. You queue up the flask as soon as you're able to, and then you should have Fortify going the whole time. But basically that's the general gist of it. You can pretty much keep up Fortify the whole map and not really worry about it falling off. And all you have to do is you have to press the flask like 3 or 4 times, queue it up, and then you can pretty much go on for like 30 seconds without worrying about Fortify dropping off, as long as you have Blood Rage on. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, Berserk. So let's see.
I cannot do this yet. My mana is gone.
So the way Berserk works is that you need Rage to Berserk, and then you lose Rage per 5 seconds. Now the thing is, most classes cannot generate Rage. For Berserkers, we could actually generate Rage from this node right here, which is gaining 1 Rage on hit with attacks no more than once every 0.3 seconds. So for Berserkers, we can get 3 rage per second. So there's another way of getting rage, which is with Warlord's Mark. So if you're playing a bow build or wander, what you can do is you can put Warlord's Mark on here. So Asenath's Chant is pretty much spell slinger for bows. So what Warlord's Mark does is whenever you stun an enemy, you are able to get 24 rage generated over 1 second. So that's pretty much half of our rage bar generated in 1 second. Now I'm not sure here if it will work because so you can see how fast the rage goes up, right? Obviously if you like instantly kill stuff before the Warlord's Mark is up, then it won't be able to work. So you can have it up, and then as long as you're able to kill a mob before, and you can see the rage just keep going up and up, right? Because the Warlord's Mark is up. Because you stun the enemy due to hit damage. But eventually the rage DJ will just be too great and you will run out, but you just need to kill another mob and then you can press Berserk again and then be on your merry way. Now the important thing to note is that you could use the ring, but the ring makes it so that the mark can't apply to like a regular normal mob. And once rare mobs are too tanky, you're not going to reach the threshold for stunning the mob, because the stunning the mob depends on how much damage you do. So you need a big hit in order to stun the mobs, and you need a much less hit, a smaller hit, in order to stun a what's it called, normal or magic mob compared to a rare mob. So that's the whole trick. And the problem with this setup is you do not have to use a sniper's mark. So if you're bossing, you can swap it out, right? So you can pretty much swap it out. If you're bossing, use sniper's mark. It's the most damage in the game. And if you're just general mapping, you can use Warlord's Mark. And if you're trying to do both, and you might have some tanky mobs, and you can have both up, and it will just alternate back and forth. And the Warlord's Mark should be enough to give you enough rage. Now, this is just my solution for getting Perma Berserk, because I do think the core fundamentals of most builds in terms of speed nowadays is getting Perma Berserk, and then for bow builds, having Perma Fortify is really good, right? So both these things actually give you survivability while mapping. Berserk actually gives you 20% less damage taken, and then Fortify is another 20% less damage taken, right? So that's around like 40% less damage taken. I don't know if it stacks additively like that. But regardless, doing these two things will make you much tankier while mapping, while also improving your experience, because Berserk is one of the most fun mechanics in the game. And I do think it's a pretty big game changer getting Perma Fortify on a bow build. Now, you have to know that this requires you to be low life and use Petrified Blood. But Bloodthirst is honestly probably one of the best support gems in the game. It gives you added physical damage with weapons equal to 2% of maximum life on low life. So if you have like 6k life, that's 120 flat fizz damage added to weapons, which is just crazy, right? Especially for Doomfletch builds. So there's probably a big upside of going Petrified Blood, and that's just one of the upsides of it. There are some downsides like degen, but I'll probably get around to it in another video explaining about whether Petrified Blood and low life builds are worth it. So low life on the ore stacker and now low life on this build. But I'm going to showcase some bossing footage with Awakener and maybe fast map clear with the Perma Berserk stuff. Anyhow, I hope the Awakener kill looked pretty good. The kill is not as fast as the Wander, but is definitely able to be done deathless. I think yesterday while recording and doing content, I actually made the fatal mistake of reserving my life to be too low. So in order for this whole setup to work, you have to reserve your life to, you have to reserve 49% of your life or less, and then have like, what's it called, a little buffer, right? So you can't reserve 51% of your life, or otherwise the leech effect will be removed because you will reach the full life that you possibly can reach. So make sure to reserve only 49% or less of your life. So currently, the way I'm reserving my life is I'm using Herald of Purity, Enlighten 4, and Precision, and that's just the way that works for me currently. So you probably have to play around with it. Depends on your level of your Enlighten, if you're using Anomalous Arrogance or not, and what level your Precision is. So you could probably adjust the level of the Precision to fit it in so that your HP is perfectly at slightly above 50%. And then once you attack or you take damage, you will never be able to go above 50%, and then you'll have this little 1% buffer between 50 and 51% that makes it so that the leech will never be removed. But hopefully this helps out everyone. I do know a lot of people struggle with bow builds and survivability, so give Bloodthirst a try. I do think it has some merit, even in non-Berserker and non-Doomfletch settings, and I do think that everyone should be able to use Warlord's Mark for clearing, especially if you have really good gear and damage. You don't need to have Sniper's Mark on a boss. You can have Warlord's Mark, you can pop Berserk more often, and you're pretty much doing the same amount of damage while being faster and also tankier. But thanks for watching, everyone, and be sure to check out my stream. I will be trying to fix this character up. This will probably be one of my favorite characters. But I hope you find more mirrors and results than I do, and see you next time. Bye.